Welcome to TeddiTalks, the podcast where we have open, revealing conversations about being female, being healthy, wealthy, and wise throughout generations. I'm your host, Teddy Jan Koval.
And I'm your co-host, Nikki LaRochelle.
In each episode, you will get to hear real stories that shaped us. We will be vulnerable and honest. It's girl talk, talking about things that few women talk about but want to know. You will learn, laugh, cry, and maybe even get angry. But Nikki and I have your back. We support you.
Yes, we do.
This is a place for support and enlightenment, and our mission is that you will find your own positive voice throughout our stories. Sit back, relax, join us on this incredible journey of growth, resilience, and empowerment. Hello, beautiful gems. I'm Teddy Jan Koval.
And I'm Nikki Lynn.
And we have a guest here today, Jennifer Sirois from Fort Kent, Maine. And we're going to get into introducing her further after we just welcome you all here. TeddiTalks 9 on YouTube, but also live on Facebook,
RNN Wellness Lounge,
and TikTok, Teddy Jan Koval. I want to just preface everything because this week here in Bangor, Maine area, it is a big week. I mean, we're not the Carnival up in Quebec City, which is also happening this week.
Have you been there?
I have in the past. It's really.
Have you been? You've been to Carnival?
Yes.
I love the Carnival. If you're gonna do Maine, if you're gonna do winter, then Quebec Carnival is the way to go.
You got to go up there, but you have to go. You should maybe come through Maine because Maine is Maine. How far is Quebec City from Fort Kent?
3 hours.
3.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a haul from here. It would be like 5 hours. But this week, because it's vacation week, state of Maine always has a school vacation starting with President's Day. That is Lincoln and Washington. We celebrate their birthdays, called President's Day. It is a national holiday. So we have the week off because it is, I'll let you say it.
It's February break.
And
School. Tourney time.
Tourney time.
Yes.
And it's basketball tournament time. Hockey tournaments are next week. But it's basketball tournament week. And I got to tell you all, I'm so excited because this year, 2025, is the 50th anniversary of having girls' state championship basketball tournaments.
First one was 1975.
1975. And why was that, Jen?
I don't know. I didn't get that far.
It was because of Title IX was passed finally by Congress, saying that any school that is takes federal money must have equality in programs. And I graduated high school in 74. And guess what? From Waterville High School, we did not have basketball, girls basketball in my town, which is so sad. So in 1975 was the first state championship, and I'll just, for any history buff here, watch out, is that was kind of like a fun sound effect. I just got to tell you, 1975, I want to tell you who won the girls state championship. For Class A, it was Gardner. Morse lost to Gardner. Class B, now things have totally changed in classes and stuff. Class B was Lake Region beat Van Buren. Class C, it was into triple overtime. Halldale beat Katahdin 64-62. And Class D was East Grand of Danforth beat Richmond 49 to 41.
Now, I believe, Teddy, I think this is the first time they used the classes A, B, C, and D, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
This was 1975.
Yes.
Correct.
It
And-
started in 1956, I believe, but it was sectioned off as S, M, and L, I think.
Correct.
Small, medium, and large class.
And I think at one point, right before
So
it
if we
went
used
to-
that for clothes sizing, then I guess I would
Yes.
be
Small school.
off the scale.
No, because they made a double L for really big schools before it went to Class A.
Okay.
And
so
to-
then I'm a Class A person.
yeah.
I'm just saying.
Although now they have Class double A.
Oh, I'm probably a Class
Because-
double A too.
Because Chevrolet High School, where my son coaches and teaches, is double A.
Really?
And I don't know what that designation is, but only in some sports. Like some schools, like Orono, is Class B in basketball. But in other sports, we're Class C.
Oh.
And next year, they reclassified all the classes for next year in basketball.
They did.
I'm
they're
getting
getting
kind of
rid of
lost with
double A.
all this class and classy. I think that we're all classy, and I want to say welcome, Jennifer. And do you like Jen?
You can call me Jen.
Jen? Does anyone call you Jenny?
No.
It's always important to figure out like what's the
And when I'm called Jennifer, it usually was by my mother when I was in trouble, right?
okay.
So yeah,
Jennifer.
it's Jen.
Yeah. So one of the first things I want to ask you, you're from Fort Kent, and that's way up in the top of Maine.
Yep.
And we are in the middle of Maine here in Bangor, and then you got down east and you got the southern. So we have, as we've talked before about Maine and our language, we have slang. So I wanted to see if it was the same sort of slang up in Fort Kent
Okay.
that we have kind of down
Right
here.
on the Canadian border.
You're right on. So you're Franconian, right? French Canadian.
Yeah.
And that's where.
Franco-American is
Yeah.
French.
Because they come anyway. They come over from Spain and there's lots of history there. We don't have to get into
France.
that. France, whatever. Well, you know. See, I'm a nurse, not a historian. So my question is, wicked pissa. What does wicked pissa mean?
That's terrible or awful.
Oh, it's wicked.
Yeah.
Wicked pissa. What about wicked good?
Okay, good.
Is good.
It's good.
Is better than good.
It's better than
wicked
good. It's double A.
But how about in Fort Kent? Because did you grow up, Jennifer, speaking English or French?
My family is, my mother's Canadian, so and so I grew up. My parents spoke French, but it was so that we didn't know what they were saying. So, like now, I don't know how I can understand it because people still talk in French in our area, but to speak it, I don't feel comfortable doing it. But we do have like slangs that we like to say, like if something's annoying, we say it's tana,
It's what?
tana.
Tenna.
What's that?
Tenna.
Yep. Like
Is
it's
that-
annoying.
It's tenna.
I don't know what it is in French, but that's just some
that's
slang
cool.
that we do.
It's funny because we would say, you're annoying.
No, you're tana.
You're tenna. Okay. Okay.
Well, Waterville is very French and Lebanese town as well. And one of the, a hairstyle, or not a style, but a little thing was called a quet.
A
Yeah.
Do you have that?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just a little piece that sticks out in the back or down in the back.
we have
A quet.
quets, yeah.
what?
Yeah, I
What's
know.
happening?
A little quet.
Yeah, a little quet.
So, and it's the back?
It could be anywhere.
It could be
Like
anywhere.
you have a little quet right here.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, those are my sideburns.
That's a quet.
So if I pulled a little bit down out of my hair here and I just have it,
Yeah.
we call those little
Wispies.
wispies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, what?
Flyaways.
So you grew up because Aroostook County, which is also known to Mainers as the county.
Oh yes. If you were gonna be like, you go, oh, I'm gonna go up to the county.
It's rustic.
It's anywhere probably north of Old Town, or no?
Really?
Yes.
Well,
That's like in.
well, Penobscot goes to Millinocket, and then it's the county,
yeah, but I mean,
isn't it?
Well, we think
I
of the
think-
county as like from Holton, where
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
North,
But,
yes.
North.
But to me, and when I talk to
Okay.
people, like the county is like, if you're past Orono, like
That's it,
we're
you're
just
north.
headed county.
Yeah.
We're going county. You know, the
learning
county
a lot.
or the Aroostook, you know, because my grandfather was lived in Easton. So that is the county. But I just
It is,
figured,
yeah.
I just figured if you passed Orono, we were going to the county. It's the county. So
County
in-
time, county. How's this for a sports thing? Whenever we go up to Holton to play basketball or baseball, because my husband's a baseball coach, and just say we didn't get the very good calls from the officials, umpires, we'll say, we got countied.
we got countied.
Never heard that? Jen?
No.
Oh my God.
So we go downstate.
Okay.
Down-
We go
Downstate.
downstate. Yeah.
Okay.
So anywhere that's north of, if we're going to come here, we're going downstate.
Okay. Does
Yep.
downstate go all the way down?
Yes.
So you have the same sort of
Yep,
mind,
but the other way is
but the other
downstate.
way.
Yep.
Yeah. So when we go up, we call it the county. And when you're going down, you call it
Yeah.
downstate.
And it's a big deal when we come down here because it's like coming to the city for us.
Well,
You
that's
know,
what I was
Walmart's
going
an
to
hour
say.
away from me. So
What?
yes, the
Walmart?
closest Walmart is in Presque Isle. Well, actually, I could go across to Edmundston, which is like half an hour.
Canada.
In
Yeah.
Canada.
So my grandfather would come down Tourney time and he'd get a hotel, and we loved it because he would get a hotel and he would get a hotel with a pool. And he's from Easton. So
That's the county.
That's the county. And so he would come down, and I loved it because then we would go to the hotel pool right here in Bangor. And like that was the best thing ever because in winter there's not really much to do.
Right.
So tourney time has always been something for us to do. I've never really been into basketball. I think in my whole middle school career, I made 2 points, and I'm pretty proud of those 2 points. 2 points matter.
It does.
But that's about as far as my basketball went. And you, I believe, were a coach.
Yes.
I played basketball in high school, and so when I got Fort Kent.
Okay.
And so when I got to my job in Madawaska, which is about half an hour from where I live, the AD knew that I had played basketball, so he asked me and recruited me to do JV basketball. But I only did it for 2 years because I got pregnant with my first son. So,
Well, wait a second. So what year did you graduate from high school at Fort Kent?
1995.
So they had girls basketball forever, or was that something that they started in 75?
I'm not sure. That's a great question.
I was just
I'm
wondering.
not sure. Yeah.
I just was wondering. So you graduated, went to UMaine.
Farmington.
UMaine Farmington. Did you play sports there?
I just played intramural.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
And you were because Farmington, like a lot of the smaller campuses of the University of Maine system, they started out as Maine State teachers' colleges. So I know Farmington was one, Machias
That's why
was
I
another
went there.
one.
It was,
Because of
Teaching.
for education.
yeah, and my mother went there, so it was kind of like I
Oh,
wanted to follow
wow.
in her footsteps. So
Wow,
yeah,
that's great.
she's a teacher. She was a teacher. She's retired now, but she was.
So you got hired from graduation at Farmington at
Madawaska, yep, as a fifth grade teacher, just coming out of school, and then I decided to be the assistant coach for Madawaska girls, and we actually did make it to the tourney. So,
that was, what year did you say?
2000, yes, 2001.
And how
Yes.
did you do?
We didn't make it past the first round, which is actually something that we're down here for the our Valley Unified schools. We have Wisdom and we have Fort Kent and we have Madawaska, and I believe it's one of the first times that all three schools make it to the second round of the tournament.
Really?
tournament.
That's
Because
great.
the Fort Kent girls played last night.
The Fort Kent girls played and they lost. They played on Monday.
Okay.
Wisdom girls played this morning, and it was their second round, and they lost right at the end. They fought really hard, and at the end of there was maybe 5 seconds left. They went up for a shot. The other team went up for a shot. It was tie, and she got fouled, and then it relied on Central, one girl, to make a foul shot no time left on the clock.
Oh, wow.
And she made
Oh.
it. She made it.
Oh, and the other team made it.
Yes. And so, yeah, they
Is
lost
that
it
when
right
you
at the end.
sneeze really hard or like, oh, you know?
Goodness.
Well,
Oh, what a
Yeah.
bummer.
Yeah, it was a really good game. So they
really
did really
good.
well.
Heartbreaking, but so good.
Has the county ever won a championship of the state?
Not in basketball.
Not, you're talking girls.
Girls and boys, really girls, yeah. So for us, like down, like in the, we're in the valley, I should say, or the county or whatever you want to say, we talked about those classes. So like when I was playing basketball, it was a dream to go to the tournament. I never did when I was there because we were Class B school, but we played a lot of Class A schools, like Presque Isle and Caribou, and so it was
And
hard.
Holton.
Yeah.
Did you play Holton?
Yeah. So it was very hard. And Calais was very good at that time to qualify. So it was a dream. So my first time going to the tournament was actually as a coach. So
Oh, wow.
Yeah. yes.
That is
So the
incredible.
county, this is something that by being in Bangor, living in Bangor, growing up in Bangor, I take it for granted, right? So I'm kind of like mind blown at the moment, like, wow, it was your dream to come down to Bangor and make it to the tourneys? Like,
And growing up, we watched it on TV.
Right.
All the time.
It
And
was
then,
on
so
Channel
my mother's
12.
dream was always to come up and watch it for the whole week. So we'd come down as a family. We'd stay somewhere where there was a pool.
Where there's a pool.
And I don't know if you remember the Cross Center before it was redone.
yes.
Bangor Auditorium.
You can almost
Bangor
smell
Auditorium.
it. If
Yeah.
you know the old Bangor Auditorium, and if I say Bangor Auditorium, you can almost smell. Like it's a smell.
Right.
And
they had the high, like the higher,
It's like
the
a V.
nosebleed
Yes.
section.
Yeah.
So we would sit up there because we didn't have any connection, any, family playing. So we didn't want to go down and take somebody's place. So we stayed up high, and as kids we'd watch. And I remember sitting there, and of course you see them and you think one day I want to be down there on that floor. And then we look over and we see Stephen King sitting there, and he's watching the game as well near us. And it was just like a surreal experience for us as kids. So
Wow.
yes.
They used to play at the state championship. Only started when the auditorium was built, which was 1956.
Yes.
And before that, they played in different locations for the state championship at the Lewiston Armory, even someplace in Ellsworth, South Portland. They played. I looked it up. It's very interesting because the very first state championship for boys, of course, was 1922. Like way over 100 years, but not till.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's very interesting. But I do have to say, just because it's trivia, and
You love trivia.
She
I do.
knows.
She
Teddy
loves
Jan
trivia.
knows so much.
Well-
and it's like, hey, do you want to go to Duncan? She's like, let me tell you something about Duncan. Did you know back in 1912? Like, and you're just
no,
like,
that was
okay.
McDonald's.
Oh, sorry. And you're like, okay. No, I didn't.
And she has
know
a good
that.
memory.
She does.
Well, because growing up in elementary age, I was in Orono. UMaine was everything, and then moved to Waterville in high school. But moved back to the Orono area. As when I got my job with FAA, got Bangor. Where am I going to live? I'm going to live in a college town, Orono. So Cindy Blodgett, we would
I remember
always
that,
see
yes.
her getting her coffee at Ampersand's, and my little son at the time, oh, look, there's Cindy Blodgett. Now, Cindy Blodgett was a phenomenon out of Lawrence High School, which is Fairfield, Maine, and she scored 2,596 career points in high school. And Lawrence High School.
in high school.
That's unheard of, really.
Lawrence won the state championship all 4 years she was in school.
for tourney time.
Tourney week.
Yeah.
There was another person who came after her, because she was 1991 to 94, was Kenzie Worcester from Washburn High School. And she graduated in 2001, wait a second. She had 2,001 points her career high.
Wow.
She won the Class D championship from 2012 to 2015.
I'm very proud of my 2 points career. I just want to let
I
you know.
scored none, okay? They didn't have it.
I don't remember.
But
It wasn't 1,000.
Kenzie went to Husson. And, but I got to just say with Cindy, she went to UMaine, and she is the all-time leading scorer for the University of Maine with 3,005 points.
For the
For her
University of Maine for
college
college.
career,
So
right.
that puts her over 5,000.
She was,
good.
well, of course, they had the 3-point shot then, so.
We don't have the 3-point shot now.
Yes, we do, but
Oh.
But it did. Hey, in 75 or 74, I don't know exactly when, but in the 60s, girls basketball, if there was a varsity team, could not, there only certain players could go the full court. Only certain players
I know
could.
you and I just made the same.
Oh, yeah, no, that is the truth.
Replay, 'cause we
Anybody
looked-
out there been on that team? Because I do remember as a little kid going to Orono High School games. They did have a varsity team. And those girls, well, first of all, they didn't really have uniforms. They had little pennies that had numbers on them that they put on. And only...
Like a Girl Scout sash? Like, what do you mean?
Well,
What's a
they
penny?
were. It was.
Do you know what a penny is?
yeah.
It was like
You know
a
what a
little
penny is?
apron that went over in the front and the back and tied.
To differentiate between the 2 teams. So
Oh,
one person
that's
would
called a
wear
penny?
penny.
That's what.
Oh.
And we had maroon ones for Orono, and I remember my dad taking me to the, and I think only 1 or 2 or maybe 3 girls could go. Maybe only 1 girl could go the entire way because they had defense and they had the forwards, and 1 girl could go back and forth.
Is it
I'm
so?
pretty sure.
Was
I'm
it
not
kind
even
of set
sure.
up like field hockey, where like you have this is your role down on this end of the court, and this is
Yeah, it
your
was
role
half
on-
court. They could only go to the middle,
I
and
see what
the
you're
other
talking
ones.
about. So you couldn't full court
You-
press it.
No, correct.
Oh, gotcha.
So
Yes.
if you're defense, you stay on this side, and if you're offense, you stay on this
Correct.
side. And when the ball passed, only one
could go
move
in
the
both.
ball.
Right.
Interesting. And that was
Very-
only girls.
That was girls.
So boys didn't ever start with that rule.
No, boys did not. Right.
Did they think
I
they
know.
couldn't handle it?
It's sexism.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
when I
That
have
is
to,
interesting.
I looked at a newspaper article too. I could, of the first year that the girls played for the state championship at the Bangor Auditorium, and one.
Did you look at a microfiche?
No, but I just read this newspaper
heard that in a
article.
while.
I know. I felt like Teddy Jan went to the Orono library and was like scrolling through all the microfiche looking.
They probably have them still. I don't know. But the reporter made a big comment. There was a ball that was going out of bounds. Somebody dove for it, crashed into under the scorer's table, and they go like, "Oh yeah, girls really want to play too." What? Of course they do. That was just. Didn't.
Now, just a sidetrack because I'm just making a connection here. So I know in the county when my mother was in school, which was around that time, they played field hockey, but then because they could not play soccer was only a boys
team.
sport, and then once soccer was introduced, then field hockey went away because the girls played soccer
Really?
in the north, yes, or in the valley, I should say.
That's interesting.
Is it because it's field hockey and soccer are the same season? So was there not enough to have 2
I don't
teams?
know. That's yeah. I'm just kind of wondering if you knew anything about that.
Well, I do know that there was basically in the fall, there was, for Orono High School, no sport. There was no field hockey and no soccer at Orono. But when we moved, because I was in, well, then it was called junior high. I was in junior high, went to Waterville, and they had field hockey. And I started playing field hockey. But there was no fall sport for the girls at Orono High School. They could play basketball and softball in the spring, or track. Maybe track, yeah.
So I want to know from Jennifer. You said you never came down for tourney time as a player, but you did as a coach. Is that correct?
I came down one year. I was coach for 2 years. We came one time.
Okay, tell me
Yes.
how that felt. Tell me about that side where you've always wanted to be a player. You always wanted to be on the court at tourney time, and now you're coaching and you've brought the girls team down.
And I was the assistant coach, so that was even better for me because I didn't have that.
You have the pressure.
But I got to enjoy it with the girls, and I was young. I was just new out of college, so. But just to walk in and you go in and you get your special tag and then you walk through the doors and then you walk in and you see this huge, massive, even the sound of the way that you dribble on the floor is different than what you have at home. And of course, a lot of the girls talked about like their nerves, and then you have when you're playing as a player too. There's 2 3-point lines. There's the college line and then there's a high school line.
Right.
So that's nerve-wracking for them, and there's no wall behind that basket either. So
Well, at the cross center there isn't.
the cross center there isn't. You're right. Yeah.
The auditorium there was.
There was.
And that's why the old Bangor auditorium was torn down. And it was a really traumatic for lots of people, for there's a lot of history there. In fact, I got one of the floor sections because they were selling them off, I think, to help pay for the cross center. And also, I got a row of seats I bought.
What?
Yep. You could go when they were ripping them out.
Yes.
It was in the paper, and we waited in line with Donnie's truck, and I ended up, I gave them to my brother Danny and my brother Brian, and I bought 2 of them.
Yeah. So having said that, I didn't have that nervous feeling that the girls had, or the feeling to be on that floor, but at least I got a chance to go and
experience
that part of it. So,
But I bet you were nervous for them, though.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But by then, that had been around a while, so that was a little bit easier because they weren't like the first team.
The first girls team, you
First
mean?
girls team.
Right.
And I do believe, correct me if I'm wrong, no team is allowed to practice
Nope.
in the cross center or the auditorium. They can't have a practice there.
Nope.
Okay. So now I see where it was like maybe a little nerve-wracking because you're like, which line is the 3? Is
Right.
it this the line or is
Yes.
it that the line? And you don't really know
Yeah.
until you can't really touch the floor until it's game day.
Right. So a lot of the teams go to practice. I'm really bad with names, but wherever Cooper used to play or practice in VZ, they have a gym there.
Just the elementary school.
They have a
But-
a fitness center there.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
in
where they go to
BC,
practice because I guess it's similar to what they would see.
Really? I don't know.
I wish I remember the name. I'm sorry.
Well,
Yeah. I remember
so
the
what
name, but I'm
year
not
is
going to
that?
say it on our podcast.
We can't say that.
Well, I'm
Yes,
not
we
going
can.
to
Because
say it.
She doesn't want to date herself.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, I guess it was okay. They heard it was.
It's okay, Sarah. I mean, it was like, okay.
We're so young. You guys have nothing to worry about, okay? Because your mother is probably my age.
Graduated in 72.
Okay, Donnie's age. My husband. But so when the schools that use the auditorium and the cross center as their home court, namely John Baptist,
Right.
they have a advantage. John Baptist girls and boys, and oh, by the way, so any school that plays them has had experience. So Orono plays John Baptist.
Well, in that
They've
case,
been-
I would think
did
that
not
if they
know
were
that.
already playing there, then they should let everybody practice.
They should,
I
but
agree.
they don't.
Now that I know that,
Or they should play in another civic center, like
Yeah.
Augusta. Or
They do. They do have
For their
Southern.
game.
but so does John Baptist not have their own auditorium? So they use the cross center. So they should go to the center in VZ.
Well,
I
John
agree.
Baptist.
So they
for
don't have an
you
advantage.
people who might know, they used to play their home basketball games inside the school, which was also, it's their gym, and there was like a balcony and stuff overhead. That's where they practiced, and it just got to be so old and unusable. They basically have to rent out all their athletic facilities. They rent Husson for baseball. They practice over on Mount Hope and the fields over there. They use the auditorium for basketball. And football, they use Garland Street, or it's Cameron Stadium.
I still think it's not fair.
Well, okay. So
I still think it's not fair that, like, I understand that they need to use the auditorium, but everyone that's playing against them for tourneys should have a practice.
I agree, because we say that it's a new season when you go to the tournament because it's a neutral field for both teams. So I didn't know that.
they would charge. So if your school could pay for it, I guess maybe.
Yeah, but it's what she's saying, I think, is it was neutral to come to tourney because
No one.
there was no advantage because.
Exactly.
But if these teams were actually practicing and having their games at the Cross Center or the Bangor Auditorium, then it actually put them at an advantage, or some could
I agree.
say that.
Well, I remember as a little kid going to Lewiston. The state championships used to be there at the Lewiston Armory, and that was where Lewiston High School played
Right.
at the time. They have their own gym now, but lots of schools in that area, probably Edward Little too, I don't know, but
So
they use the
Lewis-
Armory.
So here's a really good segue into the book Let Them. So here we have John Bapps and the Lewiston, when they played there. So they have this advantage. And so you could have these moments where you're like, this is, which I'm doing right now, like, that's not fair. That's not fair. But it isn't. And sometimes life isn't fair. So the Let Them book, the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins, is what we've been kind of discussing over this month. In how she would approach that is like, if you sit there, if your girls were spewing to you how unfair it was, and they just sent all their energy about how it's unfair and they have advantages and they're not winning because of all these other advantages. The Mel Robbins theory is that they've wasted so much of their own energy that they could have put into.
It's out of their control.
It's out of their control.
Yep.
So they could have they can put more energy into practicing harder, asking questions, finding out which line is it that I have to go. So if your girls did that, and I'm not saying they did, but her theory is saying, if you spend all your energy trying to be upset or expressing how upset you are about things that are unfair and out of your control, you've just wasted a whole bunch of your own time.
You
Yeah.
give your power to somebody else. So don't.
Yeah.
And
So imagine shooting a throw and being like, oh, it's not my fault because they had an advantage. That, wait, what is that?
no, don't because let them. They can work.
What
out
about,
there.
shooting the throw and then saying, okay, I didn't realize how far I was from the line. Next shot, I'm going to get a little bit closer. So that's what her theory, her book is saying, is that if you were like, oh, it's because them, it's because I didn't practice, oh, they didn't let me do this, you're not going to improve yourself and you're not going to be taking care of, like, bettering yourself.
You can only control you. And how she started one chapter, which is my husband's an English teacher and loves his poet, Mary Oliver, started a poem. It's like, tell me, what is your plan, or what are you going to do with your one wild and precious life? Are you going to waste it complaining that other people are practicing here, using this gym? No, you are going to make the decision what you want to do, or what she's suggesting. This is what you should do. Don't give your power or your energy or your time, like you just said, to worrying about where they're practicing. You practice yourself.
You worry about yourself.
And don't, let anybody, especially Jen, when people, you and your community come down to Bangor, and people, whether, I don't know if you ever felt any kind of like prejudicial, like you're inferior or you're from the county, or we never thought of it as a bad thing. We just thought, that's up there, far. And so I was just wondering, did you ever feel like any bad vibes from?
No, I don't think so. Not that
Okay, good.
I feel very comfortable around here. Yeah,
Good,
I
good.
do personally, but
I think a lot of people do, though. In my experience, I think that we're very welcoming. I don't think that we.
I think Maine
No.
people are just.
I think Maine people are
I
welcoming,
do.
but
Awesome.
Teddy has
No,
something else
what
to
I was
say.
gonna say is like, because she's coming, Jennifer is coming down from basically a very rural sports outdoor area, coming down to you said it,
City.
the city
Yes.
is Bangor. But I'll tell you what, drive on Stillwater Ave this week, this vacation week, this Tourney week, and you'll say, what was I thinking? Because it's packed. It is packed. And I went to Ulta, which is a cosmetics store, right? I want to look beautiful for today's
You
podcast.
do the sparkles.
The sparkles, right? But as I'm going in to get one thing that I needed, which was an eyebrow thing, the clerk, because it's not only Tourney week, but did you know this is mascara week? Okay.
No.
Yes, it's mascara week. So, of course, I had to get some blue mascara for today.
Are you wearing blue mascara?
Yes. Oh, I mean,
Okay.
okay. So, I mean,
What's the difference?
I don't know.
all
Teach
I'm
us,
saying
Teddy.
You
is
got had,
I just-
Teddy. You got had.
Hey, it was $10 off. I said,
Oh, there you go. Okay.
I'm
That's the
getting it then.
difference.
But the merchants is what I'm getting at. The merchants, the stores, the hotels,
The boost in the economy.
the boost in the
Yes.
economy this week is huge for Bangor area. It's huge.
That's true. That is true.
So, Tourney Week is a big revenue producing week for this area. Just like now up in Fort Kent. Well, you used to have the, what is the training center for the Olympic biathlon? Mm-hmm. Is that still open? Because I heard
Yes,
that
it is.
It is.
Yes.
Tell us about that,
You
if you know.
Yeah, well, people go up there to. You have to pay a fee to be part of to be able to use the trails, but you can snowshoe. They have some beautiful snowshoe trails, cross country skiing. I even believe you can rent some of those things if you wanted to.
Because the Olympic team used to, or maybe do still train up there in.
Yeah, not this year. It's been a little while, but a lot of people would volunteer for it. My parents had volunteered.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so.
Because I know the Winter Olympics is 2026 in Italy. I personally get pumped for the American women playing the Canadians. It was last Olympics, it was the number one watched team sport of the Olympics was the women's ice hockey final competition, Canada and U.S. More than the men. Did you know that? I was like, yay! That's because the U.S. men were knocked out. That's what they said. But still, it's a huge rivalry, and we love it. It just, sports brings people together.
So for us, we have the Can-Am races.
Okay.
So that's going to happen the first week in March. And so that brings a lot of, just like the Tourney does for here in Bangor. And last year it was canceled because of the weather. Because all
We
the
didn't have any
melted.
snow. That's
right.
right.
And it hurt. It hurt us.
That's
up
right.
there.
Because for me personally, I love it when we have winters like that. But up in the county and snowmobiling
Yes.
is, ice fishing, snowmobiling, like
Exactly.
big.
Yeah.
You go
Revenue producing.
north.
Yeah.
That's where you go. And
Airbnbs got
Yeah.
hit. The restaurants, some of them had to close.
because there wasn't
Because they couldn't
enough.
make it, yeah.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So down here, I'm just like, yeah, no snow. And you're like, ah.
Snow.
Well, how much snow did you get, Jen, last Sunday?
On Thursday we got a foot, and then we got a foot this weekend as well. So, yes.
Well, that's plenty then.
Plenty. So we had coming down. We saw a lot of trailers with snowmobiles. Yep,
Nice.
heading up north, and we were,
You're like, yay!
hey, come on up.
What was the temperature? Because it's
It's been
cold.
It's been
negative
negative.
15.
Okay.
Negative
Minus
16.
negative.
Yes.
Okay.
But
Nine.
we were -4 maybe,
Yeah.
-6.
Oh,
but
yeah,
you were
yeah.
definitely
Yeah, so our
Negative
students can't
or-
go outside if it's 0 or lower, like with the wind chill.
Right.
So for 2 weeks, they were inside quite a bit.
Oh, that's
Yes.
brutal. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're still a fifth grade teacher.
This could be a whole other podcast, but
Okay.
I teach.
When do you want to
grades-
come back?
I teach grades 3, 4, and 5 combined.
'Cause you don't have
with one of
enough
my friends. No, we do,
stu-
but it's
okay.
a philosophy that we have, and we got trained
Oh.
in. So, but
Okay.
that would be a whole other podcast, I
Oh,
think.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
Is it almost like peer teaching?
Peer teaching, looping, all
Yeah.
that stuff, all combined.
Okay.
Meeting the kids at their needs.
Definitely need to have you back to talk about that sort of
absolutely.
Educational
educational.
shift. Yeah.
Yeah, because
We do have a small school, but it's something that we got trained in. We went to South Dakota. We went to
Wow, because that's not really common, is it?
no, it's not.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm
my
listening.
son at Asa Adams, so he's 34 now, but when he was in first and second grade, I say first and second because they combined first and second grades in Orono back, 25 years ago or more. He was 6 and 7. They did that in Orono. We had 3 grades of first and second grade in one class.
Ers.
First and second graders in the one room.
So I grew up in my elementary school was Christian school, so it was like first, second, third. We're all in the same room. You know, there just wasn't enough
Right.
of us to make a teacher for each individual classroom. I think fifth, and then it went like fifth and sixth, and seventh and eighth. Like they all kind of like combined. So that was my first thought. You know, it's like, oh,
Right, yeah.
you're up in the county. There isn't any people up there.
That's true. So we have grade specific classrooms, and then we have our combination room. and-
Nice.
yeah.
Now, do people get to pick which ones they're in?
No. Well, before we had to have, because it was a pilot when we started, which our first class were 6th graders. They're now graduating this year from high school, so they're seniors. They had to. I'm saying a lot. I shouldn't do that.
That's all
That's
right.
okay. I say so a lot, and here's what I realized: let's just be ourselves.
Okay.
Um,
So
Well, I swear a lot,
I said
so I've been
so.
trying.
I said so. You said Okay, good. Let's keep going.
yeah.
Anywho, I know because the minute you say that,
And now
every
it's
time
stuck,
you
so
say
let's-
something.
yeah.
Well,
Let's talk about Mel Robbins. So
I-
the let them theory.
the let them, but I wanted to kind of bring it back kind of all the way around to Tourney Week because one of her chapters in her book is when adults act like children.
Oof.
And we're talking emotion, and it's
I could relate to that chapter. I could.
the
As
whole-
being a temper tantrum giver.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like
Okay.
she was like how she evolved.
Right.
So
being
go
aware of
ahead
it.
and tell me about this because
Didn't get that part.
this week I've been so overloaded with so much stuff in my own life that I got to the like, what do you do when people are talking bad about you? But I didn't get to the temper tantrum one. So
well, I mean,
obviously
as
think I don't throw temper
as
tantrums.
she talks about, she goes to therapy. I need a good therapist, by the way, but
We all need a good
Everybody
therapist.
does.
but she was saying that her therapist said, okay, because there's an 8-year-old trapped inside of most adults,
Right.
Because your emotions you cannot help because it's a chemical reaction in your brain.
Right.
And it's how you respond to those. But as a child, an 8-year-old, you're in Target and they want that Lego set and you say no and they throw a tantrum and you're saying, well, stop crying. That's one thing. Or you walk away and hope they stop.
And how many got the I'll give you something to cry about?
Or, oh yeah, my dad said that. Or they just buy it because
Like,
no,
stop.
stop.
This is-
They buy it, they tell them to stop. So, as she said, so I realize now that I never really dealt with that situation
emotion.
myself or my children. That's why they all need therapy now, she
You
said.
need to talk about your feelings and why you feel this way.
Okay, I'm going to give you a little story. Again, remember last episode I said I wish that I was a parent for my kids when they were younger after reading this book. I agree. Because I think I would have been so much better.
Right.
But my daughter was aisle 3 of Hannaford. Aisle 3 of Hannaford, she would throw a temper tantrum every aisle, like every time we went. Aisle 3. Her and her brother, they're twins. They got the little rolly cart that they had to drive. It was like aisle 3 was her breaking point. And it was always aisle 3, and I couldn't figure it out. I mean, and she would scream. Oh. I love you, sis, but she would scream. And so then my husband would then take the cart, keep shopping. I would pick her up. I would take her out into the car, and she would be kicking and screaming, and I'd have people watching, wondering if, like, I'm abducting this child. And I'm like, you can have her, you know, and it was like all this emotion, but it was aisle 3 every time. And I didn't realize, like, her brain said, I'm all done now, you know? But all I'm hearing is, oh, you're screaming and everyone is listening. And now they're going to think I'm a bad mom. So I need to get you out of this situation. Yeah. And now we're in the car and now I'm mad. And then my husband's mad because now he's shopping to get, you know. It was very bad cycle, but we all had to go together. I can't just leave my 2-year-old at home, you know, and my husband can't shop by himself. I mean, that's the way that is.
That's another.
That's a tantrum. So, like I said, I mean, now I can very much be like, well, I can see that you probably have run out of your emotional level right here. So let's start at aisle 10.
Go backwards.
I would have done something different, but I wasn't. And it was like, and I kept doing. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And we would start in the produce, and aisle 3, she'd have a meltdown. And it's like, we just kept doing it every week.
Yeah.
And so some of that is understandable how people act today as adults, because they never really dealt with it. And I mean, certainly, I'm 20 years more, what am I saying, 40 years older than you. 20
You're
probably
not 40 years older
I
than
don't know.
me.
Well,
I mean,
what I'm saying is the generation is
age is just a number, Teddy.
It's just a number, Teddy.
Yes.
But when we, it's like my dad told me not to cry like a girl. So I stuffed my feelings in. And probably lots of times now I say, well, guess what? That official doesn't know what in the heck he's saying, because that was a blatant foul and our kid is laying on the ground and no foul, and I speak up.
I want to take Ted.
I totally speak up
to a game where she's really passionate.
And Donnie is like, Teddy, I'm not going to sit with you. And I go like, that's a foul.
So
How can you take a layup and land on the floor?
That's where the bad words come
So
out.
were you? Yeah. So do you stand up and everything, arms wild? And
no.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Okay.
And I definitely, that's why I'm in the dugout for baseball, because we definitely are not allowed to say anything about bad calls, even when you know that.
That's why I can't watch tennis.
That's when you knew it was you were countied, huh?
Yeah, well, hey, it happened in Dover. Yeah. Sorry.
So the tension. So my daughter now, and then I remember one time I actually made her go. You do the best you can with what you have,
right?
And so I made her go to this like high schooler that was standing at the manager's booth at Hannaford. I'm like, you apologize for causing such a ruckus in this poor man's store, and he was just like, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
Just take her away.
Yeah, and she's screaming, and I'm like, you need to apologize. You need to be you need to have consequences for your actions, and it was like that wasn't the right approach for her at that developmental age. Even though I was like mortified. Now she's a lovely lady. She says to me, my therapist said that I have trouble with my emotions because you never let me express them, and I was like. Checks out.
Okay, the guilt trip. All right.
Checks out.
Yeah.
So good thing you have a therapist.
But the thing is this the first time as us being parents, adults, that maybe we did not
Right.
really ever
Oh,
get
I
the
mean,
path
we
with
don't
us.
get that.
I was not allowed.
I
And-
think that
and
we
was-
did better. My generation did better parenting than the generation before, but it still was very much, you're just learning, right? Now, I mean, let's not dive into it, but like your emotions, okay, cool, but you still need to zip them and go to your room.
You have a choice. Your emotion, it's a chemical reaction. You do, like she said in the first chapter, you have to breathe deeply,
Yeah.
and then you decide how you're going to react to that. If you do nothing at first, that emotion might subside, and you can proceed in a rational fashion instead of I got to tell you the story. So my brother took my dad down to Ole Miss when Maine football was playing down there.
What's Old Miss?
It's a school in Mississippi,
Oh, okay.
kind of near where a lot of civil rights things happened.
Okay.
Okay, and Danny is looking around, and he's the only Dad and him were the only white faces. Okay, so he was sitting in the section that they were not cheering for the Black Bears. Everybody around him.
Right.
And so my brother had to go to the restroom, and my father was not happy with some of the officials' calls against the Black Bear football team. And my brother said, "Dad, I'm not going to break up a fight between you and the people around us. So zip it."
So don't throw a
basically.
temper
And he
tantrum.
was in
Yeah.
his late 70s. Do not get in a fist fight here because we're going to lose.
Wow.
Basically. So, yeah, that still happened. He did almost get into a fight when he was at my son's mite game in Augusta, but with some other parents in the crowd.
Who, your husband?
My dad.
Your dad.
My husband is very mild-mannered.
Yeah, he is pretty chill.
Yeah.
So, what are we supposed to do instead of throwing these temper tantrums? What does Mel want us to do?
The whole idea is realize that your emotions, and she just says, you cannot change other people. So if you're upset with the official or your child, one thing is that, yes, identify, yep, okay. Sylvie was having a fit. She couldn't have her laptop last summer. And she was flopping around the kitchen floor like a fish and yelling. And my brother was like, "Give her her laptop." Sorry, Brian, I love you. But the whole point is that let her do it. Okay, I'm going to my room. Good idea. Maybe you can calm down up there. But you let yourself have that emotion pass, because it will in 90 seconds. It's science. Then react. Then go ahead.
So I would say the first thing that happened when my kids is screaming in aisle 3 is I'm embarrassed. So it is triggering that chemical in me, that fight or flight, that I'm embarrassed. And then, all of those negative thoughts of I'm a bad mom. These are what these people are thinking about me, that, so quick, I need to get my child out of here and get her to stop screaming. We try, stop screaming, and it doesn't work. And so really, it sounds like the best part would have been to take a breath and been like, well, she's 2,
Yes.
this happens. And it's really kind of more about the let me,
Correct.
this is what she's doing. And I, at that time, didn't have the tools to say, let me see how I want to respond to this. Is this about me? Is this a reflection of my parenting? There's all these different things that you could put into your vocabulary and then be like, no, it's not. She's 2 years old throwing a fit. So how do I want to respond to this? And that's that 90-second kind of that pause. And I think I probably would have been, hey, I know that you're really having a hard time right now. So we're going to just get out of here. But but I was so emotional that it was actually just projecting onto her, and now she's even more emotional, and now we've got 2 emotional redheads in the middle of Hannaford.
But I really do
It's bad.
think, I don't think parents or really a lot of adults or teachers or coaches have strategies, like is in Mel's book, how to handle emotions. They don't have that. And so when you're just, say, benching a basketball player for who knows what, flipping out on the basketball court, that's probably, yeah, they got to take the time out to think about things and calm down. That is good. But like one other quick story about my son, he was in I don't know, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, on playing basketball this week. It reminds me of Tourney week, but little kids had a tournament at Ace Adams, and he's playing. He's a athletic kid anyways, but he finally gets in. He didn't start. He was, it was a co-ed thing, so you have to wait your turn, but she's like, can't wait. Finally gets out there, and he's guarding this girl, and she's like flustered. What does she do? Threw the ball right in his face.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Knocks him down. What? Was not expecting that. Of course he's hurt. He's crying. Get a drink. And then the kid coach for his team goes, well, in the NBA, when you get hurt, you have to sit out. Wait a minute. He's been sitting out. He gets whacked in the face right off the bat, and you're going to make him sit down again when he's ready to play? And so...
Did you posture at that time? Like, oh, my God.
No, he was totally upset. He couldn't handle it. But that's why he plays hockey and not basketball today.
Right.
And he's a hockey coach. But we got to wrap this up.
Yeah.
But I do want to say,
I definitely want you to
so
visit
much.
again, because I think...
I really enjoyed myself.
Yeah, I
This
think
was
there's
fun.
so much I want to hear, especially about the educational piece. And
Yeah, I'd love that.
Oh, good. Thank you, Jennifer.
So we'll come down again, and we'll...
Yep. I will come downstate anytime, you guys.
And
girls.
here's...
And maybe we'll even go up to the county at some
Yeah,
point.
why not?
When it's summer.
Yes.
Yeah.
When it's more summery.
Well, I want to go to Quebec City next week, but...
Oh, it's Quebec
Hold-
City next week? No, I think the carnival's over.
It
isn't
is.
It?
It is.
Then yeah.
But I love the winter. So I do want to say that our opinions here and our comments are ours alone. We are not professionals.
This is just
This is our disclaimer. What we talk about is not to cure or treat any disease or any ailment that you might have. These are just our opinions. And
Names are changed to protect
Yes.
the identity, unless you're talking about your child. Apparently, we just say the names.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, Darren.
No, I don't think I said my daughter's
you did
name,
not.
but and just in case I did, I was just going to throw that disclaimer out.
But thank you very much, Suba, on this healthy space.
Yes,
We appreciate
this is a
you.
new setup here. I really like it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we'll next week. What are we talking next week?
We're doing more of Let Them, and you don't want to miss it because you never know what's going to happen here. That's all
Never.
I'm going to say. Thank you for watching. Please follow us on YouTube, TeddiTalks.
Don't forget to subscribe. You can also find Teddy Jan at msha.ke/Teddy.Jan. Those are 2 N's, Jann. And if you want to follow my journey with the Wellness Lounge, you can do so at rnwellnesslounge.com, and of course all of our social media channels. So as a disclaimer, as always, we want you to know that all episodes and personal stories are our beliefs, our opinions, and they're not to be substituted for advice from a professional provider. Stories and names sometimes might be changed to protect the other side. And remember, it's okay to take care of yourself and celebrate you no matter what age.
This is true, and we are very grateful and appreciative of Selfie Space located in Brewer, Maine.
Check them out.